Hi, my name's Alexis, and today we are going to be demonstrating some behavior therapy. We're going to incorporate aspects of the ABC model conducted in the functional assessment, and some of the aspects of the ABC model is that this model suggests that behavior is influenced by some particular event that precedes it and by certain events that follow it. So I am going to be using a model, and due to confidentiality, we're going to call this person Jocelyn. So give me a second and I will get Jocelyn in the room, and she is also signed an informed consent. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi there.
How are you doing today?
I'm stressed out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you stressed for any particular reason?
Well, it's my job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I work for a large corporation.
Okay.
And I work in human resources, and they're constantly changing what they expect of me, as well as expect me to be headhunting for new employees. My boss keeps changing. I don't know who I'm supposed to go to, and it's just affecting my relationships and my life.
Okay. And how long have you been working for this company?
I've been working for them about 10 years.
10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and have you been experiencing these similar difficulties and stresses for the past 10 years?
It's gotten worse over time.
Okay.
So I was originally hired like 40 hours a week, and now I'm working like 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts.
Wow, and are you getting paid overtime for all that extra work?
No, it's all in my salary.
Wow.
You know, so I don't feel appreciated.
Mm. Yeah. And you want to tell me a little bit more about that appreciation?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm constantly receiving orders for more that I need to do.
Okay.
And I'm working so hard already.
Sure.
And it doesn't seem like anybody really understands. There's nobody that works alongside me that has the same role that I can commiserate with.
Okay. And do you have any sort of supervisor?
That keeps changing too. That's the problem.
Okay.
You know, I don't really feel like I have a person with a face that I can go to.
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of change has been happening, and that's added to the stressors. Can you tell me a little about when you started experiencing this anxiety within your corporation?
Probably about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
We merged with another company, and they kind of gave me an extra role to fill without a raise.
Okay, and did they address you with this proposal of new obligations, or did they just assume you to the different roles?
They addressed it to me,
Okay.
and I hesitated because I thought I can't do that, but then I thought, well, I gotta work. I can't lose my job.
Yeah,
to support
of course.
my family.
Yeah. And tell me a little about your family. Do you have a husband or children?
I am divorced and single, and I have 3 kids in high school.
Okay.
And that presents its own challenges, so I feel like I'm constantly yelling at them. And
Okay.
I don't have time to sit down and talk. It's
Sure.
just managing them.
Sure. And do you get to see them a lot with working as many
No.
hours as you do?
I work like 6 days a week. And who knows what they're doing when I'm not home.
Sure. So there's not really a caretaker in the house?
No.
Are your kids generally at your house or at your ex-husband's house?
We share.
Okay.
So they kind of go back and forth.
Okay. And
But I
have
don't-
they expressed any concerns to you?
The kids?
Mhm.
I think they're fine with me not being there. That's what scares me.
Yeah.
You know, the less I'm there, the better.
Sure.
Then they don't have to be told what to do.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not really
I'm
feeling...
worried about what they do.
Okay.
You know, there's drugs and,
Yeah.
sex, and try to keep on top of their grades with their teachers.
Yeah. So stressors from work and stressors from home.
Yeah.
And do you feel like these anxieties also branch out into your other social roles?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Because I don't have time for friends.
Mm.
I mean, if I had time to go out and tell a friend what I'm going through. Maybe somebody that has a similar situation that would help, but I don't have time at all.
Oh,
So my day off, I'm shopping for food and cleaning, and
okay.
just got time for lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And what does your self-care generally look like?
My self-care?
Yeah. Do you know about self-care at all, or have you heard of the term?
No.
So self-care is basically things that you do to fill your cup in a sense, because you're constantly giving out to others in your working relationships, in your motherhood roles, in your relationships with friends and family. So what are you doing to fill your own cup?
Not a whole lot, other than sleeping and eating.
Okay.
I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to socialize.
And how do you feel like that's been affecting your physical state?
I'm not in shape. I'm gaining weight because I'm a stress eater. And I hate the way I look. My clothes don't fit me. I don't have time to shop for new clothes.
Yeah, so that must be very difficult, especially when you have to get dressed to go out to work.
Right. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. And how do you feel like that affects your self-confidence?
When I don't look good or feel good, I don't feel too good about myself.
Okay.
I feel like I do my job well, but I don't really get any affirmation at work.
Okay. And do you does your stressors affect your mental, emotional state, your spiritual state?
It's definitely my spiritual state, because, when I have Sunday off, the thought of even going to church, I want to sleep in and,
Yeah.
relax a little bit. And I don't have time to go to any Bible studies or women's groups.
Sure.
Occasionally I'll open my Bible app on my phone when I'm at lunch at work or something. But.
Okay. And was that something that you generally did in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, when I didn't work so much.
Okay. And how are you feeling with the absence of those activities?
Guilty, unsatisfied, not at peace.
Okay. Yeah, so all of these things seem to really be affecting the way you live your life and the quality of your life. And so something with behavior therapy is that we're really wanting to target some of these different behaviors that you have and ways to address that. And that not only involves myself and giving you different exercises and education, but you as well, trying to enforce different behaviors and keeping track of those so that we can track some progress.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about those?
I'll take anything.
Sure. Okay. Good. So the first thing that we want to do is behavior analysis, is what it's called, also called a functional assessment. And so we want to identify events that follow the behaviors and consequences related to your behavior. And so what are some of the behaviors that you're expressing when you're stressed?
Impatience, being short with people, biting my nails. Sometimes at night I drink too much just because I just have to do it to relax.
Sure. So these aren't just things that happen in the moment. It follows throughout the entire day.
Right.
Okay. And what are you thinking some of the consequences to the behaviors are? Are you generally around people, or?
Well, I don't know that. I think people at work are starting to notice that I'm not the nice person I used to be.
Sure. And I also want to make note that consequence isn't always a negative thing. Consequence is just something that precedes an action. So it's okay, and our actions do have consequences, whether that be positive or negative. So I did want to let you know that, so you didn't just think that it was a negative term.
Yeah, okay.
And then you said that the last time you remember feeling this way was about a year and a half ago?
About a year and a half, yeah.
Okay. And what are, if you can think of some specific situations when the problems arise?
So it's when they kind of merge another job into my job.
Okay.
And then they expected twice as much from me without any pay raise.
Okay.
And, yeah. And they expect me to find great new employees, but then I'm having to manage all this other stuff. And
Okay. And have you spoken to any upper management about these additional roles?
I've tried, but I feel like it falls on deaf ears because I don't think anybody really cares. There's no accountability, and like I said before, I don't feel like there's anybody really specifically one person above me. It's like
Right.
they've spread it so big and thin that sometimes I feel like the tail's wagging the dog.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. It's definitely frustrating to be in those positions because you don't know who to go to.
Right.
And
I can't just quit. I
Mhm.
keep my eyes out for other jobs, but
Sure.
I've built up, a good portfolio with my investments, and
Sure.
and it's scary to think about going somewhere else.
Sure. Starting over in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here you've established yourself and are providing, like you said, for your family.
Get good pay.
Sure.
I mean, even though I feel like I deserve more,
Sure.
I can at least support my family and pay bills.
Yeah. So there's some sort of security within this job,
Right.
even though it's coming out into all of these different areas of your life.
Right.
Okay. And so back to the moments, what are some of the feelings and thoughts that you have when you start to bite your nails or feel impatient? And if you can't think of a specific...
I just feel stressed.
Okay.
Stomach hurts. I don't know. Things get on top of me. I can't get out from under them.
So a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there, I think I asked this earlier, is there anyone present when you start experiencing these things?
Well, my kids bear the brunt of it.
Mm.
So I come home and the house is a mess and nobody's cleaned up the dishes. And find out one of my kids is not doing their homework.
Sure.
Or maybe was out late.
Sure.
So sometimes I come home, I'm just so exhausted to go to sleep, and I find out they came in at 2 a.m.
Yeah. And so it seems like a lack of control.
Right.
In all of these different areas.
Absolutely.
Especially not having a defined role, and so having to just be put in different places and with your kids.
Right.
Is there any other employees, or do you work with clients at your agency?
I do.
Okay.
There are some other co-workers that I could probably reach out to. I just don't want to look weak,
Sure. Sure. And you said that none of them are in similar roles to you?
Right.
Okay.
Kind of different roles.
Sure. So when you start feeling some of these things with the stress, are your clients present, or do you generally push down any feelings and then bring it home?
Yeah, when I'm around clients, I put it all aside, just stuff it,
Okay, and similar with your coworkers?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Every now and then I'll feel, angry or hurt or impatient with other workers.
Okay. And are there any sort of ways that you cope with these feelings of stress?
Well, like I said, I've been eating a lot and drinking too much, and
Okay.
I pray God will help me.
Okay. And how has prayer been affecting these anxieties?
Because I haven't really been spending time with devotions and going to church and being with other Christians. I'm not sure if God even really wants to hear me.
Sure.
I feel like maybe he's kind of sick of me. Not really caring about me.
Sure. And how do these feelings make you feel? Do they have any effect on your relationship with God?
Yeah, I used to feel like God was my friend, and now I feel like he's my distant father. because I've been a bad girl.
Laughter is good. Yeah. And so the prayer, do you pray in these stressful situations, or do you tend to pray later in the day?
I just kind of throw them up when I'm just about had it, or if I'm feeling really like I'm gonna break down, or
Sure.
you know. So I guess it's good that I think to pray.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason that I bring it up is because we're talking about some of these behaviors and some of the ways that you can cope with these behaviors. And so praying in situations, if you find that helpful for you, or as a way to relax, then that can be a way of coping.
Mm-hmm.
And so something that I want to do, let me just check on the time. Okay. Is go through what's called SMART goals, because what we want to do during these sessions, and as I stated earlier, these are sessions that you can continue going to. If at any time at all you want to stop counseling, you're more than welcome to, but I'm going to be here for you to support you as long as you keep coming. And so it's also something where I'm going to be working and you're going to be working, and we want to have these goals that we can measure to make sure that you're making progress and see what are some ways that coping is working, and what are some things that aren't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions on any of those?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it'll make more sense to me when you explain it.
Sure. Yeah, so something that I brought in today is called SMART goals, and it's an acronym. And so the S stands for specific, the M is for measurable, A is achievable, and R is relevant. And so we're going to take the goals that you have for yourself and apply them to make sure that they'll work. Because a goal without any steps sometimes can get lost in the wind. Have you experienced that before, where you've tried making a goal and it just hasn't worked out?
Oh yeah, every New Year's I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to lose weight.
Yeah.
It never happens.
Yep. Yeah, you see a lot of those, right?
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something that we want to do for you. And also just have an understanding that there is such an impact on the way our environment addresses who we are and the things that we go through. And so we want to address those and get you to hopefully a better place and a better quality of life. And so you're going to be given some homework every week. Do you like journaling at all, or is that something you've done?
I have done it. I don't know when I would do it, but maybe I could find time at work at lunch or something.
Okay. And you said that you generally don't eat lunch. Do you have a time for lunch?
You know, I just kind of eat at my desk, and then I've got all this snacky stuff.
Okay.
It's not very healthy.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm wondering if we have some sort of sheet or paper, so instead of writing down, maybe we can have some bubbles or stars saying, you know, this is my rating of my anxiety at the level, so all you have to do is bubble it in, and it doesn't have to be a time-consuming effort. Does that seem...
Yeah, that sounds...
That seems like something you would do?
Yeah.
So this is going to be self-monitoring by you. And so if you find time and want to do some journaling, just to go more in depth, then that's definitely something we can incorporate. But I also want to make sure that this is something that you'd be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And can you think of any other ways to evaluate progress?
Well, coming back to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I guess I could keep something in my journal. I could look back and see where I was a week ago.
Sure. Yeah. And even with these little evaluations, you can see as the weeks progress, okay, how was I feeling in this moment? And, you know, at the end, we can look back and say, wow, look at the distance we've come. And that's the goal.
Yeah.
And so as the weeks progress and we see where you're at, and we can go more in detail later, but we can incorporate different trainings like relaxation training, breathing techniques. Is that a Fitbit that you have?
It's an Apple Watch.
It's an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Okay. And does it incorporate those little breathing times?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can set it to make me breathe
Sure.
every
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah. And we
Yeah, that
can
might be
go
a good
through
idea.
that.
Yeah.
And then we also, I just wanted to mention have you heard of positive and negative reinforcements?
Yes.
All right. And do you know in depth about those or just heard
Well,
it
I
in
know
passing?
how it pertains to my kids, so if
Okay.
they've done something well, I praise them, and that's
Okay.
positive reinforcement. And negative would be, I don't know, saying you're lazy when now I've been to clean the dishes.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's definitely something that I would have thought of. And I just wanted to briefly go through these. So, as it relates to the behavior therapy, the positive and negatives are related to your goals. And so the positive is going to be adding something on, and the negative taking something away.
Okay.
So I noticed in your evaluation you said that you like walking. And so a positive reinforcement as it relates to walking is maybe, okay, my goal is to walk 3 times a week. And when I walk 3 times a week for 25 minutes, at the end of the week, I'll get myself a piece of gum, just a single piece of gum.
Okay.
Whereas negative is, okay, I didn't do this activity, so now I'm going to take away $5 from my account and put it into a fund.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so let's take some time now to go through our SMART goals. And so I'll guide you along through it. What would you say your goal for therapy is?
Just to find ways to cope with, I guess, just with the people in my lives.
Okay.
Both at work and at home.
Okay.
I'm just not doing a very good job. And maybe to learn how to speak up and advocate for myself a little bit at work.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to say that that's a general goal that we ultimately have.
Mm-hmm.
And general goals are awesome. But for this particular activity, we are going to be very specific on what we want our goal to do. So our overall goal for therapy is to enhance these different areas of your life. And so that's definitely a goal that we can have. And for this SMART goal, we're going to do something so specific. For example, our goal could be, like, back to the walking. I'm going to walk 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You can even get down to the nitty gritty and say I'm going to walk Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
And those days between 4 and 6 a.m., I'm going to spend those times walking.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say a specific goal you would like to have is?
Well, I mean, walking 3 days a week would be a specific goal, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe one goal would be to speak with someone at work about my frustrations.
Sure. And so that it can be something that we can grow upon, would you consider possibly meeting with said person once a week to be able to meet with them and just go through, check in, see how you're feeling, things like that?
I was thinking more like someone above me.
Sure.
To address what's going on.
Okay.
May not be an ongoing thing.
Okay.
So much, but just maybe they don't even realize how much I'm doing.
Sure.
You know, but I have not had the courage to do that.
Okay. So something that we want to do is to build upon that. What are some stepping stones you think that we could take to build that courage?
Well, I guess first identify who would be the best person.
Okay. And do you have anyone that comes to mind right away?
Yeah, one person.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe the second goal would be to just have the courage to say, I'd like to speak with you sometime. What would be a good time for you?
Sure. And how does just thinking about that make you feel?
A little nervous.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a people pleaser. I'm not a confrontational person.
Sure. When you say that you're a people pleaser, do you think something such as writing down some of the topic points you'd like to say could come in handy?
Yes, definitely.
Sure.
That's a good idea.
That way, when you're speaking to them, you don't kind of get lost in pleasing.
Right. Good
Sure.
idea.
And then stress is another thing that you mentioned. Is there a goal that you'd like to have on your stress, such as different ways to cope?
Well, you mentioned walking. I think that would be helpful.
Sure. Is that something that you can do during your work hours?
I could probably try.
Okay.
You know, if I did like 10-minute spurts here and there.
Okay.
Like 3 of those a day.
Sure. And is that something you'd like to do? Or would
I
you like to
would.
come up with a different?
I would like to walk.
Okay.
And maybe another would be just to do a little yoga, like 15 minutes in the morning before I go to work.
Sure. Yeah, and that's definitely something that we can write down in the journal, and then at maybe the end of the day you could just do some check marks so that it doesn't take a lot of time, but you can record that you've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the M to our SMART goals is something that's measurable. And so, like I said, with the journaling, we can write down the activities that you want to do, and then at the end of the day, mark them off.
Right.
And then just sit. I would be a little more specific on how much you'd like to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do 3 times a day, make that a priority.
Right. Okay.
And are these things in your mind something that's achievable?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Are they realistic?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I do.
And it's definitely something that we can evaluate next week. So if you want to go for a trial run and see how these work with the goals that we have in mind, that's possible. And if you think, whoa, my schedule's already full, I can't walk 3 times during my shift,
Right.
then that's something that we can evaluate next week.
Right.
And then timely. So is there a certain time frame where you'd like to see progress?
Yeah, I think as far as speaking with someone, I'd like that to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
I can't wait much longer. I've
Okay.
just got to get the courage.
Okay. And do you think by taking these steps, we can help build up that courage?
I think so. If I feel better about myself, I'll be more confident.
Okay.
So if I'm doing some exercise, and probably it would help to eat more healthy too.
Sure. And then we can also work, and that's all depending on you, if you want to focus more on our next session on some relaxation training. We can also work on some social skills. Do you think you want to target anything in particular for our next session?
I think assertiveness skills.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something that we can incorporate
Yeah.
so that we can bring up this goal to your boss. Yeah. And so what I would encourage you to do for our next session, have the person in mind, and you don't have to share it with me. Have that person written down in your journal so that we can have that be a specific goal that we have. We want to speak to this person.
Do you want me to bring my journal?
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be great. If you forget it, it's okay. I'm not going to make you feel bad. But I think that would be something that's helpful, so that if you have any notes, or even during the week, if you have any questions or anything that you would like to bring up in our next session, you can have that written down and we can discuss it.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions for me before we go?
I feel better already.
Oh, that's so good.
You're very calming.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I think we can have a good relationship with this.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping so, and I'm hoping that we can start to show progress in the weeks to come and get you towards your goal of living a better life.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you next week, yeah?
Okay.
All right.